では始めましょう。今日は第8回ですね。第8回の日本語の教室なんです。まあ、いろいろゆっくり進みましょう。ゆっくり。じゃあ頼みし、頼みし、楽しみ、楽し、あじゃあゆっくりいきましょう。今回は第8回の日本語の教室なんです。日本語の教室のサムです。よろしくお願いします。よろしくお願いします。じゃあ何か言おうと思いましたんですが忘れている。始めましょう。Let's get started. Let's get started. じゃあ今日はちょっと最初に動詞の話をしたいと思います。動詞の話をしたいと思います。動詞の話。動詞。動詞。動詞 are verbs. So we're going to learn a few grammatical terms as we go along. Doshi is an important concept to learn because it has the idea of movement in it. Today, I'm not going to show you any kanji. I want you to see everything in Romaji for a while, Romaji. Obviously, we're going to go back to the kanji, but we're today taking a look at doshi. Doshi. これは動詞のまとめになります。これは動詞のまとめになります。なります。It's going to be. As I told you, Japanese has only two tenses. It has the non-past and the past. The reason they don't call it the present is because it's called the non-past and not the present or the future, is that there is no future. So, doshi no matome ni narimasu. In order to make it clear that that this is a question of something happening in the future, I'm saying it will become, or it becomes, it is becoming. I don't need to do that. Doshi no matome o shimasu. Doshi no matome o shimasu. So there's a little nuance there, but both indicate the future. So the mas form, mas, masen, mashita, masen deshita. Remember, there were four of them. Mas, mashita, or masen, mas, masen, mashita, and masen deshita. Plus there was masho, hajime masho. Let's get started. So here are two verbs already that I did not put on today's list. Hajimeru, hajime masho, hajimeru, and naru. Both very important verbs that are frequently used. So at some point soon, I will add them to our list. Doshi no matome o shimashou. これから動詞のまとめをします。これから、at this point, from now, これ、remember? これ、それ、あれ、どれ. I made the little list of words. This should be in your notebook by now. Ko, so, do. We have things that are near to us, ko. Things that are near to me but far from you. Things that are near to you but far from me, which are so, and then are. So, じゃあこれは動詞のまとめになります。これ、動詞のまとめ。これから、これから、これから。これ means from this point. から from this point. これから from this point forward. これから。これから。From now on, starting now, we're going to have a summary of verbs. 動詞のまとめ。はい。 You've already seen these two verbs, ao and you. Both verbs end with u. So it's important to group the verbs together by their endings. So we say aimasu, mata aimashou, iimasu. これから日本語を言います。日本語を話します。日本語で話します。日本語を言います。So there's a difference between you and 話す. Hanasu will appear on our list in just a few moments. The important point is to group the ao and the you together as verbs that end with u. Iru. Iru, does iru end with u? No. Iru does not end with u. If you think that iru ends with u, you're thinking in the English alphabet, in the Latin alphabet, in the Roman alphabet. We must get into the habit of thinking in hiragana. So iru ends with ru. This becomes very important when we learn to conjugate verbs. So ao and you end with u. Iru ends with ru. Aru also ends with ru. So iru and aru I like to think of as a pair. They are both verbs of existence. There is something. So ここに何というでしょうか? I don't know how to say this in Japanese. I say it in English. Anyway, ここは, we'll call it a bottle. Bean. ここは瓶があります. あります. It's inanimate. これはピンクの瓶があります。ピンク色。これはピンクです。ピンクの瓶があります。ある。いる。ここには先生しかいません。先生いる、いません。先生います。他の人、人, remember hito? Very simple to write. Hito. Oh, do I have a good pen handy? I don't think so. Okay, not important. Hito, you remember how to write hito. If not, look it up. Actually, it's going to come up soon. Hito. Nihonjin, Amerikajin, Indojin, Chugokujin, Francejin. When it's with the part of a word, then it's pronounced jin. When it's by itself, it's pronounced hito. Hokano, other. Hokano hito ga imasen. Watashi dake desu. Sensei dake desu. Sensei shika imasen. That's a way of saying only the teacher is here. Iru, imasen. Iru. Hokano ikimono. Ikimono means living things. Hokano ikimono wa imasen. Sensei dake desu. Hai. Iru, aru. Aru for inanimate objects. Kochira wa, koko wa, kochira wa is a polite way of saying koko or kore. Kochira wa pen desu. Fukuro no naka no pen desu ne. Kono pen wa fukuro no naka. Fukuro no naka ni arimasu. Fukuro no naka ni arimasu. このペンは、この赤いペンは袋の中にあります。じゃあ、袋を閉めます。じゃあ、閉めてある。その袋は、これは袋です。その袋の中にペンがあります。これは袋です。Des is going to appear at the bottom of our verb list, and you'll hear why soon. Okay, anyway, so this 4 verbs on the screen right now. 2 of them end with u, and 2 of them end with ru. Hanasu. hanasu, hanashimasu, hanashimasen. 日本語で話すことができます。Can you speak in Japanese? 話すことができます。It's a very long way to say, can you speak? 話すことができますか？できる、できません。Okay, but this is 話す。話。今日はいろいろな話をします。So this is a verb that often gets turned into a noun. Just take the verb stem. The verb stem is what attaches to the mas, the masen, the mashita, and the masen deshita. Hanashi, hanashimasu, hanashimasen, hanashimashita, hanashimasen deshita, hanashi. So it's a verb stem, and it also is used as a noun, frequently used as a noun. Okay. Hanasu ends with su. Yasumu is, we learned that when we learned how to say good night. Oyasumi nasai, oyasumi nasai. So at this point, as a verb, yasumu is not so important. I thought I would just throw that in there to make our list look complete. This will be a list. You should have this in your list because yasumu is used as a verb. But right now, the only way we're going to use it is oyasumi nasai, take rest. Oyasumi nasai, oyasumi nasai, o being the honorific, yasumi being the stem, and nasai being a suffix that makes the whole thing a command. Matomeru. Doshi no matome desu ne. Matomeru ends with ru, just like iru and aru. This is matomeru. And it means to gather together, to put into one group, or in this case, summarize or review, matome. This is a business term, very commonly used in business. Sumu. Sumu means to live. I used it in my jiko shokai. Remember the jiko shokai? I introduced myself to all of you in the jiko shokai. I said, Indo ni sunde imasu. Indo ni sunde imasu. Sensei wa Indo ni sunde imasu. Kochira ni sunde imasu. 前はデトロイトに住んでいました。Now I'm using the progressive form of the verb. Sumu, in English we'd say I live, I simply live, but in Japanese you are required to say I am living. So I'm using advanced forms even though you're beginning students. So it's your choice what you can learn now. You don't need to learn anything that doesn't appear on the screen or in your notebook, but sunde imasu. Detroito ni sunde imashita. And they're using the word iru, with another form of the verb to make the progressive form. Sensei wa Indo ni sunde imasu. Mae wa Detroito ni sunde imashita. 30年前に30年前に30、10、20、30、40、50、30年、年 means years、30年前、前、30 years ago、日本に住んでいました。今はインドに住んでいます。Neru is, I just put that here because it's a verb that we're going to be using soon. It ends with ru, nemasu, nemasen, nemashita, nemasen deshita, nemasho. It means to go to sleep. So we're going to talk about our daily routines. What time do you wake up in the morning? What time do you sleep? What time do you eat, etc. We're going to talk about our daily routines. That's the very basics of any language. Almost all language teaching materials start out with daily routines. Telling time. Tokoro de, by the way, tokoro de. これは Nan deshita ka? Nan deshita ka? I say nan deshita. That's the past tense of des. これは時計です. But I'm using deshita to imply that I already taught it to you. What was it the other day? What did we say this was? Very simple to do in Japanese. これは何でしたか? 何でしたか? Okay, I don't mean what was it, I mean what is it, but what did we say it was the other day? A very common structure, very easy structure. これは何ですか? これは何ですか? これは時計です。時計。T-O-K-E-I。時計。時計の色は何ですか? 時計の色は何ですか? 時計の色はオレンジです。オレンジです。時計はオレンジ色です。オレンジ色です。これ、先生の時計、今は何時ですか? 今は何時ですか? 2時、2時、1時、2時、3時、4時、5時、up to 12時. G is how you tell time. The word time is jikan. Same element of G as in the hour, but jikan means time. Jikan. Jikan wa arimasen. Aru. Aru. こちらはある. Jikan wa arimasen. I don't have the time. There is no time to do that. Jikan wa arimasen. Ima wa nanji desu ka? Nan or nani is asking what? Ima wa nanji desu ka? Ima wa niji han. Niji han. Han. Hanbun. Hanbun means half. Niji han means half past the hour. Han. Hanbun. Han is used in combination with many words to mean half. Han. Ima wa niji han desu. Niji han desu. Gogo no niji han desu. Gogo no niji han desu. Gogo is PM or afternoon. Gogo is often used for afternoon. Gozen is not so frequently used. It mainly means AM. Gozen. Gogo means after. Go means after. Go is what do you call it when it's straight above? The zenith, I think. It's where we go, where the sun is straight above, is the go point. It's an ancient Chinese numbering system. There's 12 stems to this numbering system. So and when we're talking about the angle of the sun in the sky, or the number of hours of the day was divided into units of 2 hours in ancient China. And each of the 2 hours out of the 24 had a number attached to it. So the number for the noon hour was go. So gogo and gozen. Gogo. Ima wa gogo no 2時半です. Ima wa gogo no 2時半です. We'll be getting to time later as well. Okay. But every day I'm going to ask you what time it is or tell you what time it is. 午後の2時半でどの挨拶を使います? どの挨拶を使います? どの挨拶を使いますか? どの挨拶を使いますか? Technically, I should have put the ka on there, but sometimes in casual conversation, you can leave the ka off. これはコーヒーです。ちょっとコーヒーを飲みたいと思いますから飲んでいます。すごく失礼していますが、失礼ですね。失礼。I'm being rude. ですが、however, 飲んでいます。ここに書いてあるのは食べる。Ending with an RU. 寝る ends with an RU. 住む ends with an UMU. So the ending of these verbs is very important. I just said nomu, to drink. I don't think that's on my list. とにかくコーヒーを飲んでいます。I'm drinking it now. 飲んでいます。おいしいです。おいしいです。It tastes good. 気持ちがいい。気持ちがいい。気持ちがいいな。おいしいのね。So this is one of the perks of distance learning. I can do things that I normally wouldn't do in the classroom. 例えば for example, コーヒーを飲むことができます。I can drink coffee. いいね。いいね。コーヒー。コーヒー。これはコーヒーです。アメリカ人はコーヒーを飲みます。飲みます。We drink it by, it's a habitual thing. So when we say something is habitual, we use the mas form. コーヒー、アメリカ人はコーヒーを飲みます。日本人はお茶を飲みます。インド人は紅茶を飲みます。紅茶 is black tea. お茶 is green tea. It's the traditional Japanese tea. As I told you, the Japanese don't put sugar in their tea. I don't put sugar in my coffee. コーヒーはブラックで飲んでいます。ブラックコーヒーです。コーヒーは英語なんですから、英語、English。コーヒーは英語ですから、英語のブラックも使います。ブラックコーヒー。黒いコーヒーと言わない。言いません。黒いコーヒーを言いません。It isn't said. 黒いコーヒーは言いません。ブラックコーヒーが言います。Now, I may be a little bit off base here, but in my memory, most people say ブラック rather than 黒い. Okay, so ブラック is another word that has entered the Japanese language. 起きる we have 寝る and we have 起きる. These are opposites. 起きる is to get up, 寝る is to go to bed. 書く字を書きます。これはペンですね。このペンの色は何ですか？このペンの色は何ですか？赤いですね。これも赤いペンですね。先生ですからいっぱい赤いペンを持っています。先生ですからいっぱい赤いペンを持っています。Because I'm a teacher, I have many red pens. I like to correct things, tell other people that they're doing things wrong. このペンは黒いペンです。外は赤いの部分もあるんですが、書くと黒くなります。書く。じゃあ今は、なんか、これで見せます。今は書いています。日本語で書いています。書いています。And here we would have a kanji. I think I wrote that wrong, but it's about right. 書いています。日本語で書いています。ペンで書いています。毎日 every day 日本語で書いてください。Please write in Japanese every day. 書く. So 書く ends with ku. That's the first word on here that ends with ku. Now the verbs conjugate differently depending on the ending. Conjugation is pretty easy until you get to certain forms. Some forms are more difficult. We're going to get into the complexities of conjugation later. Compared to other languages, Japanese conjugation is much easier. So hopefully, but when I explain it to you, it makes it sound difficult. はい。じゃあこれだけですね。そしてする。And I made something that's a little bit small. You might have trouble seeing it. 挨拶する。勉強する。That's a mistake. hanashi o suru. I said hashi o suru. I forgot the na. Hanashi o suru. I have to go back and correct that. By the way, some of my friends are beginning to look at my slides. They're being posted on YouTube as I speak right now. And I found out that in lesson 3, in the title page, there was a mistake. I said konnichiwa. I said konnichiwa. I forgot to put 2 N's in there. That mistake is easy to make when you're typing with a Japanese word processor. You have to be careful you have to actually put 3 N's in there. So you have to finish off that n by putting in 2 N's, and then you have to start the next ni. So there's 3 N's in a row. So I made a mistake and I wrote konnichiwa rather than konnichiwa. I've gone back and corrected that on my own laptop, but it's not corrected on YouTube, nor will it be corrected for some time. Aisatsu suru, benkyou suru, hanashi o suru, shoukai suru. So there's a lot of verbs that are formed using suru. And suru can also be used independently. It means to do something. To do something. Suru, shimasu. Okay. Mainichi. Mainichi is every day. Benkyou shimasu. Mainichi benkyou shimasu. Okay, I'm just spending more time. Des is a very special verb. There is no ending to the des. It's not a su ending. It's just, in fact, if you look at probably the best, some people don't even consider it a verb. I've written 3 forms of the verb. Des is the polite form, da is the everyday form, and de aru was the form that you would read in a newspaper. In our Wikipedia passage that we looked at the last class, the sentence ended with de aru, and it was simply des. So here is a summary of verbs before we get started. So it's on to the next page, and this was the sentence pattern that we ended with last time. Kore wa nan desu ka? And I've already been through this so many times, I think you already know it. One little addition is mo. Kore wa pen desu. Kore mo pen desu. Kono futatsu no mono. Kono futatsu no mono. Mono means object or thing. Kono futatsu no mono wa pen desu. Sensei wa nihon no pen o mottemasu. Nihon no pen o mottemasu. Nihon no pen desu. Okay, nihon no nihon pen. Nihon no nihon pen. 2 Japanese pens. Okay. これは赤いペン。これは黒いペンです。これはペンです。これもペンです。2本もペンですね。1本、2本。先生はペンを2本持っています。これはペンです。これは何ですか？これはスマホですね。これは何ですか？それは何ですか？あれは何ですか？ Okay. 日本の国旗。日本の国旗は、これは日本の国旗ですね。日本の国旗は、日本の国旗。日の丸弁当。日の丸弁当。日の丸弁当。日の丸は日本の国旗です。日の丸弁当は食べるもの。Something we eat. 食べ物。So 食べ物 means food. 食べるもの means something we eat. 食べ物、食べるもの。A very subtle difference. 日の丸弁当は食べるものです。ご飯も食べるものです。食べ物。Well, let's use 食べ物。食べ物 just simply means food. taberu mono is something that you eat. Okay, so gohan mo, hinomaru bento mo, ryohou mo tabemono desu. Mo means also. Mo can substitute for the wa. Okay? Kore wa pen desu. Kore mo pen desu. Hinomaru wa Nihon no koki desu. Hinomaru bento wa tabemono desu. So you can use this sentence structure to define words, to explain words. A hinomaru is the Japanese flag. Hinomaru bento is food. すごく簡単な文章なんですね。Very simple. 梅干し。梅干しは何ですか？梅干しはhinomaru bento no naka ni aru mono. So today we're going to learn aru as well as des. So that's something we'll be able to say later. So, umeboshi wa hinomaru bento ni arimasu. It's in the hinomaru bento. Umeboshi wa tabemono desu. Kudamono desu. Kudamono is fruit. Umeboshi wa tsukemono desu. Tsukemono. Tsukemono are pickles. Tsukemono. Japan has the best variety of pickles in the world, bar none. I really love Japanese pickles. The Germans need to step aside. Of course, German pickles are also very nice. Japanese pickles are much easier to make than German pickles. Umeboshi wa tsukemono desu. Hashi. Hashi wa 2つの意味があります。2つの意味、two meanings。一つは食べる時の道具なんですね。この箸で食べる、箸で食べる。箸、箸。And 箸 is a bridge. Okay. 赤ちゃんですね。赤い。これは赤です。これは赤です。This is red. これは赤いペン。So 赤 is the noun. 赤は色です。赤は色です。赤は色です。男は何ですか？男は。I think I meant to have a picture of an otoko and an onna. Let's see. Maybe if I dig out my Sanskrit book, I might be able to find a picture of. There's an otoko. これは男です。男、男の子、男の子。A boy. 男の子 means a child. 子 is a child. 男の子 means a male child. Otoko are men in general, although we generally think of them as being more children. Okay? And then these are all masculine nouns, so I have to go. これは女です。女の子です。女の子です。女の子。男の子、女の子。男の子は子供です。女の子も子供です。子供 is a child. 子供たち are children. So tachi is a word that we're going to see today used with watashi tachi. So tachi is something that I say that there are no plurals in Japanese, but there are a few a few exceptions. So we could say, let's see, otoko no ko, kodomo tachi. Kodomo tachi is a word that's very frequently used. Watashi tachi, kodomo tachi, kimi tachi means the you all. Anata tachi we wouldn't say too much, but tachi is easily tagged onto words to represent people. Okay, shujin. You wouldn't say shujin tachi. Shujin means husband. And, 奥さんは書きませんでしたね。奥さんが忘れました。先生は奥さんが忘れました。忘れる。There's another verb that can be put into our list. 忘れる. Do you have it in your notebooks yet? 忘れる。忘れる。ちょっと奥さんという言葉を忘れました。忘れました。I forgot it. 忘れました。忘れました。残念ながら奥さんが忘れました。主人の意味は husband です。奥さんの意味は wife ですね。意味 meaning 意味 So I'm going to very frequently use this word. I'll be speaking more and more Japanese as we go along. 畳というのはWow, I don't know what sentence I was going to make out of that one. 畳というのは A tatami is a matting that you put on the floor. That sentence is too complex. Even I have trouble saying that. Okay, anyway, I guess I wanted you to remember tatami, and then you can see the Anyway, okay. Here is a room. この部屋は私たちの教室です。この部屋は私たちの教室です。And these are words that we've already learned. 机、ドア、地図、時計、窓. So, can you say, これは机です? Go ahead and point at the 机 and say, これは机です。これは机です。Okay. 机はどこですか? どこですか? Where is the chair? 机はどこですか? 机はここです。ここにあります。You can either say です or you can say ここにあります。It's probably better Japanese to say ここにあります。どこにありますか? 机はこれです。ドアは何ですか? これはドアです。チーズ。これはチーズですね。チーズ。時計はこれは時計ですね。じゃあ、この教室の中に時計がありますか? はい、あります。時計があります。どこにありますか? 壁にあります。これは壁です。壁は緑色です。これは緑でしょ? 緑。これは青。これは赤いハサミ。Red scissors。赤いハサミは引き出しの中に、これは引き出しの中にあります。ハサミ。チーズ、ここですね。チーズではなくてチーズ。チーズは食べ物です。Okay? そのチーズは教室の中にあるものです。これはチーズ。時計はここにあります。これは時計です。壁にあります。これは壁にあります。壁にカレンダーもあります。これはカレンダーですね。よく見れば October と書いてあると思います。それは October じゃないか? と思います。I believe that's October. October. はい。それはカレンダーです。カレンダーです。これはロンドンにあるビッグベンの絵です。これはビッグベンの絵です。これは何でしょうか？私はよくこれはオーストラリアのシドニーにあるオペラハウスなんですね。はい。これは何でしょうか？これはゴミ箱です。ゴミ箱。ゴミ is trash. ゴミ。箱 it's a container. Hako is usually used in the sense of a box. Of course, the British say dustbin. Americans say trash can. There's probably other ways to say it. But in Japanese, it's normally gomibako. Okay? Gomibako もある。テーブルもある。これはテーブルなんですね。机は一つ、二つ、三つ、四つがあります。その部屋の中に机は4つがあります。でも、先生の机もあります。先生の机もあります。だから合計では、机は5つあります。1、2、3、4、5。5つの机があります。So, what type of counter do we use with desks? Normally, we don't use a counter. We don't know. It's not a convenient shape that would take a counter. A pen is always long and narrow, so it's always a home. But a tsukue is a rather nondescript shape, so we use the native Japanese word to count it. We could also say ikko, nikko, sanko. But ko are usually for something a bit smaller than a tsukue. So this is just something that you have to learn as you go along. There are so many different words that are used with numbers. これはテーブルなんですね。これはテーブルです。It's not a tsukue, it's a テーブル。Okay? テーブル。机はテーブルのそばにあります。I'm sorry, テーブルは窓の前にあります。etc. これは何でしょうか？これは何でしょうか？この部屋の中に本がありますか？本がありますか？じゃあこれは何ですか？読めますか？did I have, no, you have 飲む。これコーヒーを飲みます。飲む。and 読む。今は本を読んでいます。毎日本を読みます。この本の中に絵はいっぱいあります。絵はいっぱいあります。これはなかなかいい教科書です。これはなかなかいい教科書です。これは教科書です。これは本です。これは本です。これは教科書です。これはテキストです。テキスト。これはテキストブックです。英語ではテキストブックという。日本語では普通は一番いいなのは教科書です。これは教科書です。でも、ある人は、教科書、何の言葉を使いました？テキスト。I guess テキスト is a little bit different, but anyway, from text, I thought, and it's just simply a book. これは本です。本。これは何ですか？傘。I told you last time at the end of the class what a casa was. Some of you might remember. これは傘ですね。傘は机の前にあります。教室の真ん中にあります。In America, it's very bad luck to open an umbrella inside the house. but it's a good practice to dry the umbrella, isn't it? Maybe in India, where it rains a lot, people open their umbrellas inside the house. We would probably open them maybe in the entryway, but definitely not inside the house. Kasa. Kasa. I'll show you the kanji for kasa later. I love the kanji for kasa. Hakuban. Hakuban's not a word that's so important. I teach it in my classrooms because we always have a whiteboard. When I was growing up, it was a kokuban. Kokuban. Koku is the Chinese pronunciation for black. Haku is the Chinese pronunciation for white. What is the Japanese pronunciation for white? Shiro. Shiro. The Chinese pronunciation for black? Kuro. これは白板なんです。白板。本。これは、テレビですか？テレビ。これはテレビか？そしてコンピューターの画面ですか？コンピューターのスクリーンですか？スクリーン？コンピューターのスクリーンですか？とにかくその下に本があります。1本、2本、3本、4本、5本、6本、7本、8本、9本、10本があります。10本。I think it's 10本。There are 10 books under the TV screen. I have a summary sheet. I don't know if we're going to get to it today, of counters. If we don't get to it today, we will definitely get to it in the next class. It's a rather, what do we want to say, detailed, not so interesting point, but the sooner you get used to doing it this way, the better Japanese you will speak. So under the screen are books, under the desks are, I think this is probably some type of satchel or backpack or briefcase, many words for that, okay? And there's calendar, written in katakana, of course, ka, de, da. And in katakana, the vowels are made long by using a bar. In hiragana, we would write the letter a after the letter da. But in katakana, they put a bar there to indicate that the vowel is lengthened. Karenda. これはカレンダーです。これはカレンダーです。And of course, I wrote these in Romaji. This gives you permission to write all of these in Romaji as well. I just want you to get used to seeing them in hiragana and writing them in Romaji to help you memorize them. これは引き出しです。この引き出しがあった。これは引き出しです。引く means to pull. 出す means to push out. 引き出し。これは引き出しです。引き出し。Cool word, huh? 引き出し。It's a word that I learned rather late in my Japanese career. I was not taught hikidashi in beginning Japanese. It's a rather detailed word, hikidashi. But I like to say it, hikidashi. これはハサミ。さっき赤いハサミは、赤いハサミは引き出しの中にあります。コンピューターの画面。これは画面です。画面。And this is also used for the word 絵。ここに絵があります。A simple 絵。Short 絵。I tend to draw out the A, so that's not good. But this is the Chinese pronunciation, gamen. There's also a word eizo. I forget what eizo means. I think eizo also means screen. Huh. Okay, something else to look up. And this is the word screen in katakana. Screen. So su The U is still there. Suku, suku. It's written sukurin with the line there to indicate the length. Screen, screen. Now, if you listen to a Japanese person say it and you listen to me say it, it's probably different. And it might be different depending on how well that Japanese person knows English. Okay. But it's a very common word in Japanese. It has become a Japanese word. It's no longer an English word. And I wrote terebi in Romaji. Te. The re is right here. This is re. Tere, terebi, 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 terebi. This is another one of those katakana words that's difficult for me to say. Terebi, terebi. Koko wa terebi desu. I think if I'm in a room with people and I'm talking about the terebi, it's okay. Terebi, terebi, terebi. 私は住んでるところにテレビがありません。私が住んでいるところ。ところ means place. 住んでいる。Where I live now. ここにはテレビがありません。There are no televisions in our ashram. テレビがありません。私はあまりテレビが好きじゃありません。I don't like televisions. 好きじゃありません。子供の時代、そして若い時にテレビが大好きでした。大好きでした。今は好きではありません。好きじゃありません。好きじゃない。I don't like television sets. これは何でしょうか。これは今はあまりないものですね。Maybe some of you youngsters don't even know what this is. I don't know. I would call it a boom box. It was big back in the day. People would carry them on their shoulders. It was called a boom box. And it was a cassette tape recorder. Put a little cassette in there, and it was a combination cassette tape recorder and radio. So radio in Japanese is radio. And that's right here. Da, ji, with a ten, to take that shi and turn it into a ji. Now, look at this shi and look at this tsu. They look so much alike. When you write the ji, you write these two first, and then you write this one, you put a little hook right here and go up. So I think I have a function on here that allows me to zoom in a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So see, this one goes down. You write two, almost sideways. These are more up and down. These are more sideways. And then this one often has a little hook on it to distinguish it between this one. This one you write the one, and then the hook is up here. So this stroke goes down this way. This stroke goes up this way. They look so similar, but they are different. It took me a long time to learn that. Radio, cassette, decoder. So there's a decoder is the English word for a recorder. You could also say rokuonki. That's the Chinese way of saying it. Rokuonki. Rokuon is record. Radio cassette recorder. I looked up boombox in jisho.org. Do you remember jisho.org? Hopefully some of you have already gone back and taken a look at jisho.org. I put in boombox. When I put it in for 2 words, it couldn't find it. But when I put it in as 1 word, it said daji koda. I think it said daji koda. So just like smaho, they took this and they, what was it, daji cassetto? Daji, I don't remember. Anyway, they abbreviated this. It's something that we don't have anymore, but I just wanted to show that to you. Okay. And then finally we have kuruma and jidosha. Oh, I wanted to add that because there's a kuruma under the chair. この机の下に車があります。机の下に車があります。Kuruma is the Japanese way to say it, and jidosha is also very commonly used. Jidosha is it's like the difference between car and automobile in English. Automobile is maybe not used as commonly as car, but it's certainly not uncommon, and automobile is more formal. Kuruma, kuruma. And they use the same kanji. This has only one kanji, a long word in hiragana, kuruma, 3 syllables. This also has 3 syllables, jidosha, jidosha. This is automobile. Jido, jido hanbaiki, jido hanbaiki is a vending machine. Jido means automation. I saw a fantastic video today about automation in a automobile assembly plant. Having worked in one for 5 years, I may show it to you sooner or later. It was a tremendous video. You may have never seen the insides of a jidosha kojo, assembly, kumitate kojo, jidosha no kumitate kojo. Okay, so all of these things are mono. Mono. Mono means things. So I will be using this word mono quite a bit. We've already said tabe mono, kuramono, tsukemono for pickles, mono, kimono, kimono, いろいろなものがあります。このページの中に、このスクリーンの中に、このスライドにいろいろなものが書いてあります。Many words are written here. 書く。いろいろなものがあります。このページにいろいろなものがあります。もの、もの、もの。Have you learned mo yet? Have you learned no yet? Can you distinguish mo from ma? Mo and ma can be easily confused. There's a few other words that you might confuse it with. Anyway, mo. I finally figured out that in Malayalam, this is not ra, this is ra, ra. This one is a vowel. It makes the A sound long, or the O sound. This is a vowel. The ra sound goes like this. Okay, I like to correct any mistakes I make. Please point out all of my mistakes in the comment boxes below. Okay. So we've already learned this sentence pattern. So the sample is 机の上に本があります。机の上に本があります。この机の上に本を一冊あります。一冊。この本。So 本, my point is that 本 is the same form whether it's singular or plural. You don't say hon tachi. Tachi is only used for people. There's no way of making hon plural. Sometimes a noun will be pronounced twice to make it plural. For example, hito. Of course, hito is another thing we're talking about people, so the numbers of people may be more important. We say hitobito. Hitobito. That's pronouncing hito twice, but the second time it turns into a B sound. This is for some type of very profound logic to sound changes, which I don't understand, but I just learned it. Hitobito. Hitobito. That means people. So sometimes, iroiro means a variety of. Iroiro na mono ga arimasu. So sometimes to express a plural structure, it will be pronounced twice. Hitotachi. There's karera is a way of, we don't say karetachi. Kare means he. Karera means they. Karera is used once in a while, but we can get away without using any plurals. 机の上に本があります。この机の上に本を一冊あります。この机の上に一冊の本があります。You can say 本を一冊 or you can say 一冊の本です。この机の上に本があります。この机の上にこの机の上にも本があります。本もあります。この机の上に本があります。この机の上に本もあります。も。Okay? これは1、2、3、4、5、6、7。これは7冊の本があります。7冊。1冊。2冊。3冊。4冊。5冊。6冊。and 7冊. So the sats, none of the nouns change. 1冊 except for 1冊、2冊、3冊、4冊、5冊、6冊、and 7冊. So the only one that changes is the ichi before an S. The rest stay the same. And of course for yon and nana, the Japanese pronunciation is preferred. And I wrote satsu here just so that you can see how interesting that kanji is. You would write the outside, the one to the left, and then the angular one down this other side. And then I think you'd draw the two vertical lines and then finish it all off with a horizontal line. That's satsu. And doesn't that look like a library full of books? So, very interesting. Okay. Okay, so I've written it already in Latin characters. この部屋の中にチーズがありますか? We've already done that one. この部屋の中にチーズがありますか? いや、チーズはありませんね。この下にチーズが あったんですが、ちょっとこれをつけましたので、なくなりましたですね。私たちの教室はチーズの上に書いてありますので、Okay. I'm getting too fancy. I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. チーズがありますか? この部屋の中にチーズがないんですね。簡単に言うと、そしてどこにありますか? ありません。この部屋の中に。Yeah, I should have put these slides reversed. I'm going to go do the other one first. Okay. Ill-conceived. どこにありますか? どこにありますか? Okay. I wanted to make the point, I should have put these, I was actually going to put these in the introductory area, but since they're here, we've already learned these kanjis, right? Ue, shita, naka. Ue, shita, naka. Okay, I'm going to take a short break here. I'll be right back. The lesson isn't over. I just need to take a break. You won't notice this break. It's going to be a virtual break. I will come immediately back.